Next on Married People's Business.
3 reasons not to tell your partner about your past.
Freaknik got a lot of people on edge. And what we're going to do in this episode is to give you 3 reasons why you should not disclose every nitty gritty part of your past to your partner or spouse. But before you get into this episode, what we want you to do is to hit the subscribe button, like, share, and follow us.
Stay tuned.
That's that sound, that's that music. So you know what that means? That means what?
Married People's Business Podcast is back.
MPB, baby, MPB. We giving them acronyms to the people so we can shorten the title and get right into the topic. Go ahead, let's just jump right into the topic. You know, it's been a whole bunch of discussion about Freaknik and about all these women and men doing all kind of scandalous activities back in the early 90s. And what we thought about, you know, we said we wanted to kind of talk about that because this is an issue that impacts married people a lot of times, and that's the past. So the topic of this podcast is 3 reasons not to tell your partner about the past.
Yes. So that's kind of a sticky subject.
It is a very sticky subject, and I tell you, the Freaknik documentary got a lot of people on edge.
It's got some folks scared.
It got a lot of people scared, and I can tell you that I am safe. I am marked.
Well,
safe.
I was just about to say you marked safe, like on Facebook with marked safe.
Yeah, because I was a little bit of, even though I had my little wild streak, for the most part, I was playing football and I was in those books. I was gang, as my man is straight out of Compton, the movie said, you need to be gang banging them books, young man. You need to be gang banging them books.
I told Cube that when he was on the bus. But look, so they're focusing like on, I think it's 1994 or something.
Yeah,
so that would have been like our part of our freshman year of college, a spring semester freshman year.
A spring,
for
right?
us,
spring,
yeah, because we entered in the fall of '93. So we talk about literally almost 30 years ago.
A long time ago. And you know what? This is a problem that, I've heard married people and people that are in relationships they struggle with this concept of, should you tell your spouse or should you tell the partner, the person that you are in love with, that you want to maybe start a family with, or just even have a future with? Should you even tell them about what happened, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, or whatever timeline you're dealing with?
Right. When you're with the mate, what do you tell them? What don't you tell them? So, we're going to talk about the reasons not to tell.
Yeah, not to tell
your partner or your mate about your past.
That's right. So let's jump right into it. We got three.
All right, so let's go.
We're gonna go in reverse order.
I was just about to say, let's go from you know what I'm trying to say.
From 3 to 1.
That's it. How can I get that out?
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Like the DJs do it.
Not the 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3.
So what is the third reason not to tell your partner or your mate about your past?
All right, starting with reason number 3. I think that it stops future growth of the relationship. It frustrates the growth of your relationship. Whether it's the intimate part of it, the friendship part of it, I think it stunts that.
I agree with that. And I think that, when people are getting together, if you're planning on marrying somebody, or if you're planning on taking your relationship to the next level, there has to be a certain level of thinking about future plans and prospective plans with that person.
Right.
And I think that a lot of times if you go back in time and if you dwell too much on the past, then that stops, it's like, I heard a coach tell me this years ago. He said that the best racehorses, the ones that do the best in races, are the ones that look forward. And that's why horses wear blinders, because the blinders keep them from kind of getting off course and kind of stop them from looking to the side or looking even backwards. Because if they take those blinders off and they see the crowd, or if they see the person in the back, the horse in the back of them, then they might go off a path and they might stray away. And I think relationships are the same way. As long as you're looking forward and you're forward thinking in your relationship, that exponentially increases your chance of success in your relationship.
I would agree with that. I think that's a good example with the blinders for the horse. And not blinders as if you're trying to hide anything, but to create focus.
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
You know? So I think, yeah, it definitely will stop future growth because, you know, you don't focus on what your mate is able to do now, what your mate is doing now in that relationship to move you all forward. So
that's exactly right. Okay, 3. We got 2 down. We got two. We got 2 left, 1 down, right?
Yeah, 1 down,
so
2 to go.
What's number 2?
Number 2. Some skeletons just need to stay in the closet.
Skeletons need to stay in the closet.
As Stevie Wonder sings.
That is a Stevie Wonder joint.
In your closet.
That is a Stevie Wonder joint. And you know what? This is probably, one of the hardest things, I think, particularly for men. You know, I'm a man, so I always try to give the man's perspective and point of view on this show. So I'm gonna throw out a little double standard that most men go through. We want all our skeletons to stay buried.
Right.
But we want to know all y'all bones. We want to know all the bones and the skeletons, the metacarpals and the whatever the bones are that I didn't quite pick up in biology.
Yeah, I was like,
we want to know
wasn't my thing.
Everything about the woman that we gonna put a ring on, or that we gonna take to Applebee's.
Not to Applebee's.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Applebee's. Okay, Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, no, that's not much better.
All right, Red Lobster.
Oh, you went back down. Take me back to the Cheesecake Factory. I like all 3, but you talking about, you went from engagement ring to...
So we want to know everything before we start shelling out the dough.
No,
So there's a little bit of a double standard there.
There is a double standard there, but I think that there are some things that need to stay in the closet. Not so much as, again, I may sound repetitive throughout this podcast, but not that you're trying to hide anything, but some things carry emotional baggage with them. Some things such as, if there was an attack on someone, a violent crime, a rape, okay. Or maybe somebody that, was unfortunately incarcerated early in their life, and now at this point they're doing well, and they just want to keep that, in the past.
Right, and particularly as it relates to relationships, you always try to keep it PG, but
yeah,
what I'm talking about is like the skeletons, like the chick that slept with 30 dudes.
Y'all don't never want to know that number.
Well, y'all never tell us the number.
Well, we ain't.
You know what I do? That's another podcast.
I was about to say that's
I multiply. I never take a woman for face value. If I ask a woman how many men she been with and she tell me like 4, then I put a multiplier on top of that.
God.
Times 3. So it's actually 12.
I forgot you got the PhD in
hoology. In
relations.
Whole relations.
You took PIMP.
That's right.
Ology, but
that's
logically.
Right. So, but I think you're right. The point is that there are certain things that are just best left in the past, and for a variety of reasons. Because when you put the skeletons in the closet and you don't bring them out, I think that allows for you to focus on the person, and it allows that person that has those skeletons to heal, because as Shalice mentioned, you never know exactly what those issues are or what kind of trauma, mental trauma,
right,
from a relationship that a person has suffered.
And that could bring it back up, even if the person has gone through counseling or whatever they need for, the example of being raped or whatever. They've gone through that, but to constantly bring it back up, or to bring it back up to the person that they're with that they never told about, might, trigger something.
That's true. That's true.
And so leaving that, sometimes the past just needs to be left in the past. Or I think of the example of, like I gave the example of being, incarcerated, but we always make references to pop culture and things like that. I think of the Tyler Perry movie, Daddy's Little Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was like 16 years old or something and was accused of raping the girl that was actually his girlfriend or somebody that he met at a party, and she consented. Right. And that was with him, something that he tried to keep in the past. But, that kind of hindered him from going forward in the relationship that he had with old girl. So, you got two relating back to one. So you keep that in the closet, and it allows him to flourish the way that he wanted to. He was trying to be a businessman. He was trying to be he was looked at as a pillar in the community for helping folks. So, keep that closet door closed. Don't let those bones come out.
Right, and I think the point that you drive home so eloquently is the whole point of personal growth. I think point 3 that we talked about is future growth of the relationship.
Yeah.
I think keeping the skeletons in the closet as a reason not to disclose the past and keeping those skeletons buried is more honed in on focusing on the individual. And I'm a firm believer that I think that any relationship that is going to be successful and prosperous, that you have to have strong individuals, because two strong people make a very strong couple. You can't have one broken person and one strong person. You can, but I think your chances of being successful are a lot better when both people are rowing kind of in the same direction. And I think that when you bring skeletons from the past up and you are reminding that person of the problems that they've had in past relationships, or even maybe where they've been promiscuous or maybe not the best versions of themselves, that doesn't allow that person to heal correctly, and it doesn't allow that person to be the best version of themselves in your relationship moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way that you bring in the term the best version of themselves, because people change.
Yeah,
and
right.
that hones in right onto the point of the personal growth.
Exactly right. So where we at? We're at number 1.
So we're at number 1.
All right,
number
here we go.
1.
Drum roll.
Your partner may not be mentally ready.
Mentally ready, and that's mostly for the guys.
That's that multiplier.
That's the multiplier. That is the multiplier.
But no, it's for women too. Because as much as we say we want to know everything, we don't really want to know everything.
Y'all don't.
That's an emotional thing that we have to deal with. Like, you know what I mean? If you're telling me every single thing that you did in the past, it's gonna hit my emotions, at least for me, in the sense of, well, how am I different from what he did here? How do I know that's not gonna happen here? So now I start questioning, everything.
I get that, and I think that this is one of the points that when you mentioned it, and we're talking about it now, that I'm a little on the fence on, because I think that this is the majority of people. There's always an exception to the rule. I think the average person, man or woman, are not mentally ready to hear that you just slept with 300 dudes in one night, or that you was like the big man on campus, you were doing all these crazy things. You was like the Wilt Chamberlain of Valparaiso University. I'm not saying I was
about to say, how specific did you just get with Valparaiso and Wilt Chamberlain?
I got to give shout out to my alma mater,
Yeah,
So, I'm not the Wilt Chamberlain. I was more like the Bill Russell. I had 10. He had 10 championships, but that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that later.
I have to look into the camera again. I forgot about the PhD.
Shout out to Bill Russell, the dude.
Did he pass away?
He died, unfortunately.
Rest in peace.
Good brother. For me, I think that most guys and women can't. It's like that movie, The Few Good Men.
Oh, I knew you was going there.
You can't handle the truth. Most people can't handle the truth. They don't want to hear it.
If we're honest, most people can't, men nor women.
Yeah, so I think it's best to protect their mental sanity and not necessarily bring up issues that could tear the very fiber of your relationship, that could be holding your relationship together.
Right, because I think that in a sense that creates, judgment to a certain degree.
It could, and that was the point I was trying to make earlier, was that there is a small segment of the population that probably could handle that.
Yeah.
Because I think I told you this story. I was in a previous relationship where the girl basically approached me and said, "Hey, I don't want no surprises. Why don't we it was funny. We had a dinner, and over that dinner, we basically, it was called she named it something. It's like clearing the air or something dinner. And we basically promised that we would tell basically every indiscretion that we had before we got together.
Was
And
this
I did.
early in the relationship or?
No, I wasn't early. I wasn't telling her everything if I knew it
Well,
wasn't gonna be serious.
I asked
Yeah.
the question because that might be a factor as to when somebody wants to disclose in a different conversation.
No. She had to earn my heart before I told her I was a hoe. You know.
But
I said I'm an honest hoe, and all my hoes are honest.
Are you in charge of the girls?
I am in charge of the girls.
We are silly in real life.
Yeah.
But and we're talking about this though, more in the relationship factor. But again, it takes me back to the example of, the incarceration or other things in life for the individual that you just may not be ready to handle dealing with someone who may be considered a quote unquote ex-convict.
Right, yeah. And like I was saying, the dinner we had was very, like, I was a little, I'm like, am I going to hold back? I think I'm going to hold back a story or two. Because I want to see how this go first. I want to see if her story's good. You know how people be like, all right, I'm going to tell you something. And then they be like, I kissed the dude in the 3rd grade. I'm like, girl, that ain't nothing.
But to that person,
but I'm like, you trying to like, no, I need the equivalent. I need to know the dirt.
That's the judgment
But she gave the dirt. I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you all my stuff then, based off of what you said, So yeah, but we had a dinner. We cleared the air, and for me, I'm in my position. My thing is everybody has a past. And, I was raised by Matthew Talbert Sr. And, he always said, don't ever let no woman tell you that you was the only one, And don't let them tell you that you was the best they ever had either, because they tell everybody that.
Why do you keep going to that kind of stuff? Like,
because that's what we think.
That's how y'all think about it?
Yeah, we like it. So did I put it down like a previous dude?
No, see?
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
No, I'm
Go ahead and ask me.
Because we talking about leaving the past in the podcast, so I ain't gonna ask you that question. But my point is that there are a certain segment of the population that might be able to handle that.
Yeah.
But for this point, I think the majority of people can't. The majority of men, if a woman came to them and said, "Hey, I slept with 20 guys," most guys, that's gonna blow their minds. They just
it's gonna blow your mind if I say 2. Because y'all don't want it to be more than one, and that's you.
Nope. Because when I married you, you was a virgin. That's what you told me.
That's what the intent was.
Why you wear that white dress?
We got married at age 30 years old. We was 30. We turned 31 that year.
So what? AC Green was a virgin.
NBA player that's not the most attractive man in the world. I like to think I got something going on, and I've never claimed to be an angel.
AC Green
I have had discretion, but I am not AC Green. AC Green probably was not a virgin by choice.
Then why you wear that white wedding dress?
Because it was beautiful. You see how it fit. That white dress was my first wedding and my only wedding. So I get to wear white. My halter dress accentuated my shoulders and my arms. My bicep was like, bow, bow. You had got me in shape.
You were a very beautiful bride.
I'm just saying. So that's why I wore the white dress. What you want me to come up in there, a beige dress?
Nah. Eggshell. Yep. I don't know a lot about your past because we
So you gonna say eggshell?
Yeah, you could wear eggshell based off of what I know just on the streets. Your dress should have been eggshell.
You know enough from us being friends.
Your dress should have been eggshell.
Oh, Lord.
It should have been.
I can't with you. Yeah, because you know what? You weren't a virgin before we got married either. And,
I was very much so a virgin. You were the first person I've ever...
PhD in whole relations.
You were the first woman that I ever did anything
You ever married?
You were the first woman I drove when I got my license.
That ain't what we talking about. And,
all right, we gonna get back. We gonna get back to the script.
But no, seriously, I will be the first one to admit that. Yeah, I may act like I want to know everything, but do I really want to know everything? Will I really be able to handle everything? And honestly, the fact that I'm questioning it makes me say no. I can't handle everything.
Right.
So I want to leave that past in the past. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these points, these 3 points, all I think interrelate with one another, because the whole being mentally ready and not disclosing to your spouse or your partner the past, you might not be being mentally ready ties into point 3, which is that mental problem that spouse or that partner might have with hearing your past sexual prowess would stop that person possibly from trusting you, would stop that person from seeing a life with you maybe into the future. Right. And it also stops the person that, maybe disclosed, now that the other person is looking at them a little funny.
Yeah, that judgment.
It doesn't allow that person to heal. That's point 2. Mm-hmm. So all 3 of these points really, they work together and they correlate.
Yeah, that's the term. It's all, comes down to the growth of every aspect of the relationship. The relationship, the individuals, everything.
No doubt. So that's 3. That is 3.
That was the 3.
Nice, sweet and to the point.
Yeah. I think it was very important points, though. I think we hit the nail right on the head. That's the saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we hit the nail on the head. So let's recap. 3, you don't want to disclose your past to your partner or your spouse because it stops future growth of the relationship. 2,
keep them skeletons in the closet. And they need to stay there.
And the number 1 reason why not to disclose your past to your partner or your spouse is that person might not be mentally ready to handle that you were Wilt Chamberlain on campus.
You can't handle the truth. So
they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that you the champion, that you the world, the WWE champion of
just stop
whatever,
stop right there. We're trying to end the podcast.
Is.
You in these belts.
All right. Again, thank you for listening and watching.
Yeah.
If you like this podcast and you found this content to be informative, we're going to ask that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and just continue to support this podcast and continue to support the positive content that we're pushing out.
Yes, married people's business. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you.
God bless you. Take care.